Hey everybody, welcome to the Stakehouse community call number 6. I'm joined here by a bunch of friends. I'll just do some quick intros here. Here we have Remy Roy, who helps take the lead here on the Stakehouse
Hello, everyone.
team. We're also joined by Superfizz, as you probably recognize from the eStaker community.
Hey, glad to have you.
And Vedika is here. Glad to have you here. And Vedika is here behind the scenes, making everything happen on the stream. We're joined by the Steerium team, which I'm excited to introduce and talk to about in a few minutes. That's Stefan and David.
Hi guys, thanks for having us.
We've got Gray Wizard, our man behind the mirror that helps with making sure all of our stuff is organized and built on time.
Hey everybody.
And we have Sam Squanch, who will not be able to join via voice today, but he's listening in carefully. And then we also have our friend Jay, who's been helping out a lot with the Wagyu installer. So great. As if you've been to these calls before, you know generally what we're going to do. I'll sort of go over a little bit about Stakehouse and sort of what our agenda is today for the call. The Stakehouse community is a community that's sort of grown out of the eStaker community that's focused on building tools that lower the technical bar to staking, as well as broadly working on projects that promote the health of the beacon chain. So that can come in any form of whether it's like a multi-client GUI, which we're going to talk about in a little bit, or metrics around client diversity and help educating the community on why client diversity is important and things like that. So today we are going to go through the normal agenda where we'll revisit the multi-client GUI challenge and check in with the team, see how things are going there. Then we're going to go into talking about other projects that we've talked about in the past, hear from some new projects that are going to join for the first time today, and go over some maybe ideas throughout the call for other things that maybe the community would want to work on. And at the end, we're actually going to do a Q&A. And so if you guys have any questions, if you're watching along and you want to ask anything to any of the teams, or if you want to ask anything to the Stakehouse team, feel free to drop those questions either in the YouTube comments or on the Stakehouse channel on the eStaker Discord. That's at invite.gg/eStaker. So without further ado, I think we should just jump right into updating information about the multi-client GUI. So Sam, Gray Wizard, can you share your screen with the updates from last time?
Yeah, sure thing. I was having trouble getting the format into Word like we normally do it. So we're going to do it in a spreadsheet today, but I tested it out and I think this will work fine.
No problem at all. This looks great. So as I've mentioned in the past, I don't love being the only one talking. So I'm actually I'll do updates on UI Keygen and Wagyu a little bit later. Why don't we actually first hear from the Steerium team if you guys are ready? That Stefan and David are here on the call.
Yeah, sure. David, can you share your screen?
Yeah,
we prepared a little bit of a video, so we don't expose IPs or something like that. And I will walk you
be
a
able
little
to
bit
see
through.
it. Do you see the video?
Yeah, we can see your
Yes,
screen.
thank you.
Yeah,
see it.
nice. Well done.
So-
Okay.
A quick intro of the Steerium team. So I've mentioned them on a few calls past, but they've been unable to join these community calls so far. But they have a pretty awesome product that's pretty well underway, built that supports setting up multiple different clients on different hosts. So I'll let them talk about different details, but they're pushing the multi-client GUI challenge forward. So I'm excited to see their demo.
Yeah, here you can see that we already logged into, set up a node. And this is the setup screen. So we have the welcome screen that just has a little bit of a text. And the next screen will be the network screen, where you can choose which network you want to join. The Pyramid on the testnet is already disabled with the last release we did yesterday. Here you can see the clients you can choose from. There are different setups you can choose from, like also running all beacons on one node. And yeah, all 5 clients are in here, although currently Lodestar gives us a little bit of a headache. So Lodestar support is limited at this point in time. At the next screen, you can customize a little bit further. You can run the node without a local get node, for example, and here you put in the Infura node you want to connect to. So we chose a setup without Ethereum 1 node installed. The next screen shows you the updates, the automatically updates. In this case, we disabled it. Also customizable is the installation path, and then you get a screen where you can review everything and hit the start installation button. And then it spins and for a couple of minutes and installs everything you need for a node. One detail about this, how should I call it? Installer or task manager. You can click into these items, as you see here, and see all the details of what was going on. So it's not like a black box that does everything for you, and you have no idea what is actually happening. But you can click every item of those and have a look what's really went on in the background. Now we see the control center. And I think the first step will be the services dashboard, right? I'm not sure anymore. Yes, perfect. So here you see the services running on the server. We see we have Nimbus installed now, and we also see the sync and the peers. One other tab is the updates. You see the same configuration as in the setup. You can also manually check for updates and, of course, install also the updates. Here you see some features you can do. You can change the graffiti and reconfigure the Ethereum 1 connection URLs. For example, if you have a local get running and you want to prune it, you might want to take an Infura for backup. And now we see the sync is going on very well. We already have 13 peers. And we can also take a look at the logs from the service. It's not very practical right now to view the logs because you get a bunch of text and it's not very well formatted, but it's on our to-do list to make it better. You also see the service ports, which ports are used by this service, so you can make adjustments to your firewall. So everything is transparent for the user. And here we have the sync and peers again. So on the left side, you have the sync. And on the right side, you have the peers of the node. Here we have the list validator screen, we already imported some accounts, but we will see now how the import works. You just select the screen, the keys, sorry, input the password of the validators and click on import, and that's it. It takes pretty long to import, to be honest, but like you just do this like once or twice maybe, and that's it. And then we can look at that's an old service screen, by the way. And now we can have a look at the logs, and we see that the public keys are listed in the logs. So the validator already picked up the imported keys. If we go to list accounts, we already see that 2 of the keys are already running that we saw earlier, and the other ones that we imported recently are still in the state of waiting, because it takes a little bit of time until you get the attestations in and so on. And a couple of minutes later, here we go, everything is validating already. This works with all clients except Lodestar, because we have a little bit of trouble with Lodestar, but all the 4 major Genesis clients work very well. Here we see how you can change the graffiti. It's pretty straightforward. And also the Ethereum 1 nodes, as said earlier, you can put in Infura URL, for example, for your backup if you prune your local geth, for example, which takes a couple of hours, depending on the hardware. You can also bind to a different IP. Let's say you have a little data center running and you want to mine or data mine the node. Then you can also bind the address there to get access to the data from another host. And the last thing we saw was the Grafana that is also installed with almost all setups. Only one setup comes not with Grafana. That's the very little one with Prism, and just Prism UI, and that's it.
Awesome, nice job. That's really great. So what would you say, so this is fully featured and able to be used on mainnet now, right?
Yes, this is free to use. You can download the launcher. That's what you saw earlier, right? This little small window from our website. Download it, test it out on testnet Prata now, because we disabled the Pyramon testnet because it's getting destroyed by the client developers, right? And yeah, have fun with it.
Nice. And so what are your team's core focus now in terms of working on Steerium? Like, what are the next features you guys are looking to develop?
Well, the past features we released yesterday was in a bit of a hurry because Geth pushed us to release, was a CentOS support. So previously we only supported Ubuntu setups, but now it's also available on CentOS. But we also have some different points on our roadmap, like the mobile app, which is under heavy development now, and I hope we can release it in maybe 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. Also the config import export. You already saw a glimpse when you paid attention closely at the right bottom corner at the miscellaneous setup. You could export the configuration, and you can use this information or data to set up a similar node with the same keys. It's like a backup for the node. So you just need to back up this small thing. This includes all your configurations, all your keys, and you spin up a new server with the old configuration in case you lost something. And also we want to get the block explorer, also known as Chitchat.in, running locally, because I think it's good for data mining.
That's awesome.
Okay, very cool.
There's a lot of good stuff.
That's just the big goals. We also do something on the side, like the peer status and the sync status, and with the last update, also some visual improvements that we didn't saw right now. So if you're interested on getting the latest stuff, getting to know the latest stuff, then take a look at the launcher and point it to one of your Ubuntu machines.
Cool.
I'm a little unsure about the architecture because I saw your upload dialog look like it was coming from Windows. Is it that the software runs on Ubuntu and then you connect to it from Windows?
Yes, right. You have the launcher that's running on your local machine, like macOS or Windows. This you download on your local machine. It's like 50 to 70 megabytes in size, depending on your operating system. You install this and it runs on your machine locally. And then you connect to, that was the first screen. David, can you show the first screen maybe once more? Because that was pretty fast. There you can select the username and IP and also the password. And it connects via SSH.
There you go.
Yeah, you see it here. You can connect via password, just key password authentication via SSH, or you can choose to specify a key, an SSH key for enhanced security. And then it connects there and sets up the node on the other host. So not on your local server, but on the other host that you point to.
So I assume you could run this all on one Ubuntu desktop machine if you chose to. Is that?
Yes, you can also, of course, run it locally on an Ubuntu desktop, yes.
I'm very interested in Dirk and Vouch, even though I haven't actually tried them. Would this be a good opportunity to get experience with Dirk and Vouch?
Yeah, sure. You can try it to run it. I think there are certain people running it. I know of one from our community that runs it. We run it too, personally, or as our test stuff and so on. So yeah, of course, if you want to get to know Dirk and Vouch a little bit better. But the problem with Dirk and Vouch is the import might not be working right now, because we're not focusing on Dirk and Vouch that much, because it's a little bit exotic.
Yes.
Most people have a small machine like 8 GB of RAM or something like that, and you can't run like three of the Genesis clients on one server. We run it on 64 GB of RAM server with like 12 threads or something. So yes. Pretty beefy hosts.
Thank you.
Cool.
I have a few questions for the Steerium guys here. I saw some Docker output during the installation. Can you explain what was your reasoning behind using Docker for your setup?
It's platform independent. You don't need to deal with systemd or systemctl or something else. That's the main reason. Also, you have the security aspect of it. Everything is runs in the container. So if a certain container gets compromised, let's say the beacon node itself, the attacker doesn't have necessarily access to the validator. So everything runs in different containers, and that's a little bit more secure. It's not perfectly secure, as we all know, but it's a little bit more secure. Also, you can remove certain package from the container, which also makes it, again, a little bit more secure than you would install it on a normal Ubuntu machine, for example, where you have your package manager installed, your network tools installed, everything. You would need to get more more security vulnerabilities along the way.
Makes sense. You also mentioned during the demo that you showed like an old service screen. And what was changed in your recent update to that service screen?
Mostly only the peers and the sync status. David, can you show it again, maybe? The service screen from now?
Oh, wait,
the current service screen, thank you.
Yeah, I should have it. Let me log
There
in.
you see small little circles, and these circles are like little progress bars because it's too small to display an actual progress bar. So we did these circles, and you can, when you get used to it, like spend maybe a few seconds to get used to the circle, then you can also read it pretty fast, how the sync status is and how many peers are connected.
I'm guessing you guys have a live server running with your client, and then maybe we can see like the updated screen.
Yes, we have the updated screen. David is looking for it. Yes, we have all of our setups we have actually running on testnet. So we test everything before we release stuff. Of course, it's not a guarantee that we capture all the bugs.
So that's the new one, right?
This is the new one, right? And you see in the header, there is sync and peers. And we see here the peers is 150.
Oh, yeah, and then when you hover, you have a little more details.
Come again?
When you hover the mouse on the status, you have a little more details, right?
Yes, right. You get more details. And if you hover and it's not fully synced, this also shows you how much you are behind.
Yeah.
And what percentage you're lacking. So, for example, you have only 30% of the blockchain synced, then it would be 30% there, and the actual number would be also there. So you get an idea on which head you're or on which slot you're.
Yeah, that's very nice. I had one last question for you guys. I saw in some of your screens, like you had like a button for OS updates or whatnot. How deep do you go into guiding users into like security hardening, like server maintenance, good practices? Like how deep do you think you have to go? Like how much do you have to hold your users' hands regarding those?
Yeah, that's a big concern of us. We tried to pretty strictly configure, for example, the firewall, but it comes down to the problem that sometimes it doesn't work to just do it very strict, because there are also edge cases which you can run into if you go from one provider to another, because they all operate a little bit differently. So right now we don't restrict that much, and yes, that's also on our agenda to educate the user more. But as you can see, we already have some text on each of the items, and we try to explain it as much as possible.
Yeah, so we have the same problem. Like when we are developing our tools, a lot of users are like concerned about security issues. Like, how do I do just basic server maintenance, right? So like, and then we try to educate them, but like I feel like there's a hole there. Maybe you guys have a good approach there to do some education and then try to help your user there too. But yeah, that's a concern for us as well.
Yeah, that's, as I said, it's also our concern. But at the end, it's a computer running. So each computer running has some security vulnerabilities, even if you make it like your day and night jobs to secure it. And at the end, the user needs to decide what he or she is doing. We can't do everything. That's impossible.
All right. Well, thanks for answering my questions. That's all I have for you. I'll give it back to you, Colfax here.
Cool, thanks. I have two quick questions, then we can jump on to the next one. I guess my first question is that something that we're pretty focused on with our GUI installers is the ability to switch between clients. So as we all know, probably on this call, and if you don't know, there's a pretty uneven distribution of which clients are being currently used on the Beacon chain. And we want to promote people using minority clients. Is it possible? And if so, like how easy is it to switch from one client to another with Steerium?
It is currently not doable, but we saw the challenge. We saw the tweet from Superfist, so we are on it to make it happen.
Awesome.
But right now, the only way you can actually do it is just reinstall your server with a fresh Ubuntu, and then set up with a new node, with another client, a new node, and then re-import the keys again you had previously. So that's how switching works, but we will automate this. It shouldn't take too much time, but right now we're still in development with some other stuff, and we want to focus on some details, not all of them at once, because we wouldn't finish anything if we just spread the workload on all the tasks we want to do.
Makes sense. Cool. That's exciting to hear that you're taking that full steam ahead and going to work on it. The last thing to close it up, I guess, is how can we help you? Like, how can Stakehouse or the community help you? What are you looking for? Like, do you need help with like development or resources or like people testing your product or getting the word out there, like how can we help? And if somebody wants to help out, how do they get in touch?
The best thing is join our Discord. It's named Steerium, so it should be pretty easy to find. Also, there is a Discord link on our website. And how people can help, it's very easy. Just download the software, try it on testnet, click a little bit, and give us some feedback on what we can make better. Maybe you'll find some bug. Maybe you think something works better when we do it another way or something. That will help us a lot, because right now there are a bunch of people already running it on production, including us, on mainnet, including us, but it's not, yeah, we could use more testing always. And of course, if someone decides to make a pull request, we will review it, and if it's okay, we will also merge it. There is no restriction on contributing via pull requests or source code in this regard, or any other regard. We also have a Gitcoin grant project running on for this, so any help is appreciated, even if it's small.
So your project meets the standard, my personal standard for things that I'm comfortable promoting, because it's open source and it supports all of the validator clients. And so are you ready for me to tweet about it and begin driving traffic to it, or would you rather wait and see a little while longer?
Oh, I'm pretty sure we can stand the load. So if you feel comfortable promoting it, please do so.
Yeah, I would. I say that with most certainty. I've only watched what you have, and I don't know a lot about it, but I'm excited about what I see, and that the multi-client thing is just so very valuable. So yeah, I'm looking forward to getting deeper in.
Yeah, it's running multiple clients is not that easy. That's also why we chose Docker, because each of the clients needs some little bit of other environment, and they have other requirements regarding libraries and so on. And every client is a little bit different to install, although they do all the same, like staking. So it's not that easy as it looks. We started like way back in February, March last year. So lots of time of development flew into this project right now.
Yeah, I bet. Definitely run into a lot of the same challenges. So it's pretty impressive what you guys have built. So yeah, thanks so much for joining.
Thank you very much for having us.
Of course. Cool. So moving on to the next team. I don't think that DAppNode and Chain Guardian are here today. If you are, please speak up, but I don't see you guys here. So I will jump in and do some quick updates on the Wagyu installer and the Wagyu keygen tools. We made some pretty good progress over the last couple of weeks. I'll start with the keygen since I guess it's listed at the top. So for those who haven't watched previous calls, the Wagyu UI keygen tool is a tool that's basically a wrapper around the deposit CLI tool that actually helps you create your keys in the process of setting up your validator. So what we want to do is we want to make that accessible to non-technical users by building a GUI around it, so you don't need to interact with the CLI. So we are pretty close to the finish line here. Some updates from last time. What I want to focus on is looking forward. We were able to get a few things done that we planned on. So we did some UX review, and we're able to make some updates based on feedback from users that have tested it out. We had a planning session to figure out how to automatically bundle all dependencies alongside the application. Right now, not all the dependencies for the actual deposit CLI are bundled with the application, so we worked on that a little bit. We revamped our contributor section. Thank you to, let's see, I forgot his Discord username, but a contributor named Mike, who helped out with that and a lot of the testing out there. And just tweaking more things on the UI to make it a little bit easier for users to use. So that is still, yeah, very well underway, nearing the finish line. And we'll continue sharing updates here in the coming weeks. For the Wagyu installer, Jay has continued to spearhead the sort of UI framework work, and he actually rebuilt the structure of the system check page. So I'm pretty excited to see that in the direction that's going. We also had a good meeting redesigning how our system overview page is going to look. So they're trying to figure out like what information is most important to share with users about their validators, both educating them about what's going on underneath the hood, but maybe not confusing them with too much information. And so we're iterating on those designs. And we are meeting actually later today to talk about the migration to Docker to run the nodes within the Docker using the Docker open source software. So that is just about it for the Wagyu suite of tools. If you have any questions or curious about anything, again, feel free to drop them in the YouTube comments, and we can either answer them now or we can circle back at the end. But Remy, any other updates from you on the Wagyu tools?
I don't have any other updates on the Wagyu tool yet.
Cool. Okie doke. So I think that closes it out for the multi-client GUIs. I think now is a good time to quick pause and talk about POAPs. So for those of you unfamiliar, POAP stands for Proof of Attendance Protocol. It's an NFT that sort of at the intersection of like taking an action and minting an NFT. So we are distributing POAPs for attendees of this call, whether it be on the Zoom or on the YouTube stream. And so we're going to be using the POAP Discord bot as usual. And so what you're going to do is go ahead and head over to the ETH Staker Discord and find the user POAP-bot and send them a direct message. And the claim word, Remy is going to tell you what the claim word is because I forgot.
The claim word is multi-client challenge in like one word without any dashes. So multi-client challenge. I just tested the POAP bot to try to claim mine, and I didn't receive any reply. So I'm not sure if there's an issue there, but hopefully it should work for other people.
Cool. I will give it a shot right now too. And if not, we will fix that and come back to it. So let me just shoot on over here.
I'm having the same issue, Remy and Colfax. I just tried it myself and couldn't get in. Or I just didn't get a reply from the bot.
Yeah, so it seems like there's an issue with the POAP bot. Maybe we'll try to fix that later and distribute the POAP with a different method. Maybe we'll see. We'll try to fix this for everyone.
Cool. Yeah, just hang tight. As you know, all this stuff that we're testing is still pretty early on. So if we can't end up distributing the POAP for this call, there will be one for the next call. So yeah, moving on to the next topic. So let's talk about other projects that we talked about in the past. So last week we had a good update actually from you, Remy, about the different validators monitoring guide and demo that you're working on. Do you have any updates there for us that you want to share?
I've been tweaking my guides and I'm about to release another video on alerting. So if people want to get alerts when there's some issues with their setup, I'm going to do the video tutorial. There's still a few tweaks or improvements I want to do to the guide first, the written guide, and then I'll do the visual tutorial.
Awesome. Yeah, those guides and tutorials are really awesome. So I encourage you to check them out if you're interested in monitoring. You've done a great job with that, Remy.
Thanks.
Cool. So now let's open it up to some new projects. So I know we have a new guest on the call here today from SSV. And so I see Alon here. Is that how you pronounce your name?
Hey, everyone. Yeah, it is.
Awesome. Cool. Nice to meet you, man. I'm glad you could join. I had a great chat with Adam from your team, sort of talking about how SSV can be used to help sort of promote client diversity and broadly like health in the beacon chain. So I'd like to pass it off to you, and maybe you can talk a little bit about what SSV is, how it fits into client diversity, promoting the health of the beacon chain, and maybe how people can get involved if they're interested in helping out.
Sure. So SSV stands for Secret Shared Validator. It started out as a research project by the Ethereum Foundation. Basically, they wanted to find a way to take a validated Ethereum validator and split it up into secure shares, and then those shares can be operated by independent parties, independent operators. And so that started out with the Ethereum Foundation. I've joined hands with them somewhere around mid 2020 to do proof of concept, and then it rolled into kind of a private testnet. And about a month ago, we launched the actual testnet, the public one. And so that what SSV basically does is it enables you to select multiple operators, and those operators can work on your validator, operate it. And each one of them has a share, and so the actual key doesn't exist in anyone's online client, if you will. And you can actually store the validator key offline after you do that. And then those operators coordinate between themselves with a consensus protocol, and use threshold signatures. Once they decide what to sign, they use threshold signatures to actually sign it and then broadcast it to the network. And so I think it helps in two ways. One is in terms of client diversity, or maybe I'll even expand that to any kind of diversity you'd like. So geolocation diversity, or cloud provider diversity, or client diversity, and of course, just your tech stack diversity if you're using Windows or you're using Linux, or whatever degree or whatever profile of diversity you'd like to add. You can do that, and so you can simply choose the operators which offer you the right combination for you. And so I think that's one point. And the second one is, of course, just distributing the risk of slashing and operation of a validator. And so I think those are two main points where SSV really can help out in the community in the Ethereum staking at large, in terms of just making sure the network stays healthy and distributed.
Okay, awesome. And so I heard you mention that it's able to run on testnets. Are SSV ready for mainnet yet?
No, it's not. We just launched the testnet about a month ago. There's still a lot of work to be done. But the testnet works fairly well. I mean, there's a bunch of things we need to fix, and station rate is not that great yet, and so on. But it is working, and we have a bunch of independent operators. We're trying to bring the staking services in, and so they can register as an operator. And on the other hand, you have anyone basically who wants to come in with their validator key and use the network by selecting the different operators, and then the network takes care of running the validator and so on. And so you'll see a lot of progress. We usually launch release between 1 or 2 versions a week, so it's fairly fast iterations. Actually, I would love to show a demo if we have a few minutes.
That'd be great. Yeah, we do.
Could expect as a user. Cool. I'll let me share my screen.
Perfect.
Right. So let me know once you see it.
We are good to go.
Perfect. So what you're seeing now is the actual Explorer. We literally a few days ago just announced officially the testnet exists for about a month, but it was kind of hidden, if you will, for a few weeks just to make sure everything works. So it was officially launched last Thursday, if I remember correctly. And so this is a basic Explorer. You can see, the different operators and the different validators running on the network, and which operators run which validator. And so you can start seeing a few familiar faces here, also familiar names. And so in terms of the actual user, it's pretty simple. So, you just click the Join SSV button. It's just a simple web app. And we'll obviously do the validator course. So you can create a validator or import one. It's basically using the key store from the Launchpad. And so I have one already deposited. So I'll just select it. It's a Prater key store. The password is pretty simple as well. And what it does in the background now, it takes the validator key and splits it up into different shares. And once you select the operators, it encrypts those shares and broadcasts them onto the Ethereum network. From there, the operators which run the SSV node can pick it up and understand if they're part of the validator, and if so, they start at least try to start testing or come to a consensus and then a test on the beacon chain. And so what I wanted to do is actually select a few operators which I asked beforehand what beacon nodes they're running. And so I'll select blocks. We run Lighthouse primarily. I'll select Urix company. They run Techo and Lighthouse. I'll select Foundry from DCG. They run Prism. And I'll select Beacon Chain, the guy, the Buta from the Explorer just joined us as operators. So I don't know what type of beacon node they're running, but probably Prism or Lighthouse, I would suspect. And so you have 3 of the main beacon nodes here. Kind of going back to what I said before, definitely what I want to achieve with it is also more layers of diversification. So geolocation, cloud services, and so on and so forth. So you can definitely diversify pretty substantially your validator. Currently, we only support 4 operators per validator, but we'll expand that to 7 and 10. And so you can imagine it's pretty. I think 7 and 10 for the average user is a lot. Probably most will choose 4. Maybe staking services will choose 7 or 10. So from that moment on, we encrypt the shares, the generated shares, and it's basically down to just broadcasting a transaction on the Grailly testnet. And once it does that, in 1 or 2 epochs, it will actually start testing. It happens automatically. You don't have to do anything. And your validator key can stay offline. It can be in cold storage. You don't have to have that online. The shares themselves are online, right? So yeah, in 1 or 2 epochs, I'll share the link so you can see it later, because we'll probably take a bit of time until it starts. But yeah, in like 10-15 minutes, it will probably start testing.
That is awesome. And I like the ability for like different types of diversity. So like not only client diversity, but geographical, cloud provider, things like that.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool. So I guess, yeah, it's the same question for you that I asked the Steerium folks, like, what help are you looking for? How can we as a community help you out? Are you looking for developers or just more people to test it out and things like that?
Yeah, so definitely more people to test it out. Go run your validator, and if anything goes wrong, please tell us about it and we'll go and investigate. Operators is a big thing. If you are, if you have a staking service or you want to build a staking service or anything in between, please join the testnet. And it does 2 things. One, it obviously makes the testnet stronger, but also if you ever imagine adopting SSV, it's a good time to start and kind of start to realize how it will fit into your business. And of course, developers and contributors, mostly, just if you see something doesn't work right, let us know, and we'll that's the best way to kind of iterate and get a really, really robust node going.
Cool. And SSV is all open source?
Everything is open source. I'll share the repo as well with you guys. Everything is open source. I think the web app, maybe the web app is not, but I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is.
Very cool.
Yeah, everything is open source. We try to get as much documentation published as possible. That's something we know we're lacking, but as much as we can to kind of throw information out, and hopefully people will read it and better understand kind of the concepts, what it does, what it doesn't do, and so on.
Yeah, awesome.
Alan, we have a question from the chat here. I don't know if you can help us answer it. It's from Michael Shaw. He's asking, how does SSV relate to blocks?
We develop it. So I kind of I started with the EF guys about a year ago, maybe probably more than that. And it was just of pure curiosity. I love the tech and I thought it's something cool, but I didn't really know what it is or what it can do. And so as we moved from proof of concept to a small testnet, I kind of started realizing what it can do on a more public level, but also what we can do about it. And I mean, Blocks has a staking service, and kind of the value we wanted to give the world was non-custodial staking. So we don't hold any of the keys. And whilst I was kind of working on SSV, I just realized that's the kind of the perfect implementation of what I wanted to do all along. It's both decentralized, it's non-custodial, it's very robust because of the consensus layer. And so about February or March, we decided strategically for the company to invest a lot of resources in making that a reality. Up until that point, it was really kind of a proof of concept project. And so we just decided to make it something strategic for the company. And so, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much the relationship.
Michael is also asking, like, will Blocks validator be able to migrate to SSV?
Yeah, I think that's the kind of what we're hoping to do. It's not up to us. I mean, we don't hold any of the keys for the users, and so that's going to be their decision. Personally, I can say, yeah, I mean, it's a no-brainer. Our current staking service, it's a non-custodial staking service, but it is centralized. I mean, all the servers are operated by Blocks. Now, it means that we cannot slash you, but it does mean that if something happens to us, you go down in terms of your validators are offline, and it's a single point of failure. And so for me, it's a no-brainer. I mean, if you can both be non-custodial and be decentralized and be robust because of the consensus layer, personally, it's a no-brainer. I would migrate, and I would definitely advise anyone who wants to do that. But yeah, I mean, it's up to them. I think people will start feeling more comfortable maybe as we go along, but we'll see.
I just saw a message from Michael. He's quite happy about that. So thanks.
Awesome. It's just worth putting it out in the open. And then I know Superfizz has a question. So given that SSV is developed by the Blocks team, which also runs the staking pool, will SSV remain like open source and free to use on an ongoing basis? All right, cool. Awesome.
That's a very important point. There is no way SSV succeeds if it's going to be centralized. Just think about it. Like, if you want to bring other operators in and they think you control everything, they will not do that. There's no chance. I would never do that. And so Blocks plays a major role in SSV. That's obvious. But the only way to actually, I think, make it a standard where people actually use that is you have to relegate to the community as much as you can. And so, yeah, first of all, it's going to be open source. It cannot be something else. So it will always be open source. And we want to give as much possibility to anyone who wants to influence the network back to do so. And so I think it's the only really way to make it work. People need to feel comfortable that it's not controlled by anyone to actually make the step into it.
Nice. And Superfizz, did you have a question?
Yeah, I just want to congratulate Alon and his team, because that I have had some reservations in the past, and I had trouble getting on board. But I'm really excited about what I'm seeing now, and I feel like you pulled it off, and so I'm very proud of you. I'm sure it was a lot of work.
It's very, very far from mainnet. I really want to emphasize that as much as possible. It looks great and it works fairly well, but it's going to be a long way to mainnet.
Yeah, I'm ready to change my perspective toward engaging it and really kind of go full throttle and support now. And again, I had reservations, but I'm ready to turn now and support you fully. And I'm working with the eStaker crew to get us listed as an operator, so that it has that mutual positive regard. I would just like to begin building that with SSV, because
I think it's very important, you guys. I mean, of course, I want you as operators on the testnet. I think it's very important because I think the more people see familiar names as operators, the more they can relate to what we're trying to do. Because if you have a bunch of names nobody knows, then it's as good as just giving your ETH to somebody else and they do all the work. But if you know the names behind it, I think it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and I take the ETH Staker brand very seriously, and we promote things that are consistent with our ethos, and I feel like this product is very consistent with our ethos. So I'm looking forward to connecting. So thank you.
And I agree, and I'm also very excited. So I'm excited to work with Superfizz on setting up operator for SSV. Also very excited for eStaker to be testing out Steerium and sharing feedback and working on that as well. Quick thing that came to mind on the road to mainnet for SSV as well as where Steerium's at. Are you, both teams, are you guys either audited or planning on getting audited?
We're not audited. Audit will be in November, probably.
Cool.
So yeah, of course, we'll not go on mainnet before that. And I know there's an effort by the EF to formally verify the SSV protocol. So that's going to be a big step as well. Yeah, I mean, auditing is a pretty big step. I'm not sure. We won't be ready until November anyhow. So November is probably our goal.
Cool. And how about Steerium? I think you might be on mute, or I'm just hard of hearing.
Yeah, thank you. I was on mute. We will get audited most likely in November.
Cool. Awesome. Great. Really awesome work, guys. So we have about 10 minutes left in the hour. I want to open it up. I don't know if anybody's on this call that wants to share any new projects or new ideas that you've had in the last couple of weeks.
I didn't have any new project idea on my side. I know I had a bunch
Cool.
last time, but not this
you
time.
normally have a bunch, Remy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Well, even anybody in the YouTube comments, if you have any new project ideas, or if you want to come share a project that you're working on or a project you do in the future, just shoot me a DM on Discord. That's Colfax1983, and I'll make sure you get the Zoom link so you can come and join. So I guess the last couple quick things. So first of all, we are going to be moving this call 1 hour earlier. So that's going to be 3 p.m. UTC going forward. Still every other Wednesday, but just 1 hour earlier. And then next week, we're actually going to experiment with hosting it on the eStaker Discord server using the Discord voice channel or stages. I'm not actually sure the name of it, but just stay tuned for details. I'll make sure that everybody gets all the details there. I think that'll make it a little bit easier to engage the community and have more people be able to come up and present if they'd like to, and then also prevent us from getting Zoom bombed if we spread it widely. So those are two sort of more logistical updates. And I guess that leaves us with just a couple minutes left for more of a Q&A. I don't know, Remy, have you seen any other questions come in?
There's another question that just popped up from Chance Hope here. He's asking, will you require fundraising from Gitcoin for the auditing? So I don't know who's that question is directed to. Maybe we could start with Stakehouse and our tool Colfax.
Yeah, sounds good. So for the Stakehouse Wagyu tool suite, we actually already are in conversation with the EF, and the EF has a program to help support open source tools that work in different Ethereum related projects that to get them actually audited. So we're beginning the conversation to work with the EF on seeing how they can support us through our audit, given that the tool is totally open source and not revenue generating. We also do have a Gitcoin grant open, and the next Gitcoin matching round actually starts in a couple of weeks. And then we're using that money, probably not for the audit, but for a few other community initiatives.
And so let's ask maybe the other teams here. What about Steerium? Do you guys have a Gitcoin grant page?
Yeah, we have a grant page for Steerium app. And yes, we would use funds for this auditing in November if we get any there.
Let me try to find your page and share it with everyone. So what about SSV? Do you guys have a Gitcoin grant page?
We don't have one. We actually got a grant from the EF for the audit.
Awesome.
So Colfax, I'm going to offer this It's up to you whether or not we distribute a POAP in this way, because obviously the bot is down. I created a
Yep.
Google form that asks for people to let us know what they learned about the call and to share their address. We can collect those addresses and then distribute later if you want to do that. And if not, it's okay, obviously, for you to say, just didn't make it, didn't happen.
That sounds great, Fizz. Thanks for taking the initiative on doing that. I think that'd be a great way to distribute the POAP, and I will help with the legwork on the back end. Let's post that on the YouTube chat. But what I will say is you have to fill this form out within the next 30 minutes, just to make sure that people don't see this link later and then try and spam the bot. So make sure you fill it out. Truthfully, you should just fill it out right now. It should be pretty quick. Tell us what your favorite thing about or something you learned about on the call, and we'll make sure you get your POAPs after the fact. Let me just make sure this ends up over on the YouTube chat.
Yeah, I'm posting it, and I fully expect it to get censored.
So if the link does not end up on the YouTube chat,
Did it show up?
It did show up. Yep.
Hey,
Amazing. So yeah, everybody go ahead and fill out that form, and we'll make sure you get your POAPs. And sweet. So that closed it out for today. Thank you everyone for joining. Especially thank you to the Steerium and SSV teams for joining us for the first time today. It was really awesome to hear from you guys and see those demos.
That was very great.
So as a reminder, we'll be
us.
back. Yeah, of course. We'll be back here. Actually not here. We're going to be on Discord. I will publish the details very widely so everyone will be able to see it. We'll be 2 weeks from now, which I don't know the date, but it's going to be at 3 p.m. UTC, and we'll make sure to get the information out there. We'll hear from the other multi-client GUI teams about progress that they're working on, other things that are on their minds, and other ways we can support the Beacon chain. So thanks again, everybody, for joining, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Thanks. We'll see you.
bye-bye. Thanks.
Bye-bye.